Welcome back to our Value Bites series, where we're jumping in and talking about the importance of vision for business owners. And today we are joined by Glenna. And Glenna, before we jump in and talk about vision, I wanted to ask you, if you would, just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about how you help businesses and business owners.
Excellent. Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Glenna Hecht, president and founder of Humanistic Consulting. After a long career working with high growth startup companies, heading HR and training, including Starbucks, the restaurants at Walt Disney World, Accenture's ecommerce incubator, I started Humanistic Consulting 14 years ago. And my vision was to provide outsourced HR and training to business owners, to give them strategy, project execution, create employee engagement, and ultimately to help them achieve their vision while allowing people have great experience at work and really doing what they love. I work with all types of companies, all sizes of companies, and I'm Glenna Hecht with Humanistic Consulting. Glad to be here.
Welcome.
Yes, we're so glad to have you. I was so excited to see that you were on our calendar because I know you're going to provide so much value to people today. So let's kick this off with a really simple but yet complicated question. Why is it important for a business to have a vision in place, or a business owner to have a vision in place?
Excellent question, and really key. So a vision is your roadmap. A vision is the direction of where you ultimately want to go. Let me give you an analogy. Let's say that you decided that you were going to drive from Dallas to Miami and you wanted to stop in Chicago. You know where you're going, you know approximately how long it'll take and the route that you want to get there. But by having that roadmap, you can avoid diversions. So you've been on the road and you see all of those signs that say, stop and look at the biggest ball of string, right? Or go and get, a pecan cluster. And instead of pulling over and then rushing to get where you want to go, or not getting there at the timing or the way that you wanted to get there, it avoids distractions. It gives you some clarity. It also allows you to give something to your employees to tell them the why of your business. What's in it for them? Where are they going with you? And what's the road that they can travel as they move forward in their careers with your business as well?
That is such a great analogy. And like, as you're telling that, I just think about in my own business, and when we work with owners, we run in this to a lot, where it's that squirrel, like getting distracted and being very reactionary. And that happens so often in a lot of aspects of business, but in marketing, I feel like we see that in a really high volume, where it's like nothing's working, there's too many options. And so not having that vision can really derail their plan. And so in our process of working with owners, we really do spend a lot of time diving into their vision and really understand, where are they going, both personally as well as with the business. We work a lot with folks that are looking to exit, or perhaps have some vision of freedom and flexibility in mind, right? And so it can be a really tricky conversation, because maybe owners haven't thought that far ahead, or we oftentimes run up against that, it's an emotional conversation, right? To really look at where you want to go. So in your experience, how do you talk to owners about their vision? It's more than just, I want to provide a good product or service.
Absolutely. And they really fall in two camps. And I'll share a story a little bit later on about a business owner that had a tremendous amount of clarity, knew exactly where he wanted to go, but was looking at it in a way that would not have ultimately gotten him there in the time frame and the manner he was hoping. A lot of the business owners that I work with don't have a sense of their vision. And I've actually had folks say to me, well, I'll figure it out as we go along. Right. So, well, the problem with that is you may be heading down the wrong path. You might find yourself waylaid in, Missouri or Illinois versus getting to Miami. And so I've said to them, my question is, if you could wave a magic wand and you could have your business look any way or your life look any way, what would that be like? And be creative. Don't let that, obstruct your thinking. And it's amazing how many of them have said, I really see myself at some point retired on a fishing boat. Okay, well, let's work with that. What does it take to get there? How much do you think you'll need? How far in the future is it? Have to do to allow you to have the life that you want. And when they start thinking in the future, then the decisions that they make in the vision along the way really inform, what do I take with me and what do I leave behind? Because not everything you do in the beginning of a business, you do at different stages of maturity or as you're exiting or moving along. And so this allows them to really plan, if this is where I want to go, what will serve me? But also the most important thing is making decisions at the beginning as though you're living at the end. Because what it looks like when you've got a company that is 100 employees, let's say, versus 5 employees is very, very different. And it's hard to pivot as you're growing. It's much easier to think about what do you need to do when you're there and then work backwards and plan that way.
It's hard to pivot when you're growing, I think is so key for business owners to really grasp the understanding of the value and the necessity of planning your vision, because it's so easy to miss out on getting to that destination, getting to Miami. It's so easy to never get to Miami and to think that it's out of reach.
Not to mention, when you try to pivot repeatedly or shift and change and you get distracted, what does that do to your employees? That's my area of expertise. And people want to know what their boundaries are. They want to know that they have some type of true north for their decision making, and most importantly, for success in their career. So when they have a sense that you're in charge, you know where we're going, you know what the next steps are, then I have a feeling of calm and peace, and that I can trust you and my family with my future. And so the more that you think about things up front and you plan them out, sure, they're going to change, but you've got some guardrails there that you can work with, and the people that come aboard understand where you're headed. And you share that vision very, very openly, so they feel that sense of calm and caring, and that you're concerned about their future and that you can help them move forward.
I love too what you said, kind of going back a little bit about starting to be the person and the business owner that you will be in that future self now, instead of waiting. It's like we're going to Florida. So even though we're not in Florida yet, we're going to be Floridians now. And we're going to live that life and do those things and follow those processes and those principles. I just love that. It's such a simple thing, but it's so important to start doing that to meet any goal, really.
Right.
It's easy to think like we'll change our way of being or our way of thinking once we've accomplished X, Y, and Z, but we're never going to accomplish those things if we don't start living that way and acting that way now. So I love that analogy. I think we've made a pretty clear case here for why we need a vision in our business, but just to drive the point home, what are some areas where you've seen business owners get themselves in trouble? Maybe tell us a little bit about some of those derailments that you've seen, or even the effects on the employees when there isn't a clear vision in place.
Mostly what I see is the blinky shiny. So the derailment is, I talk to somebody and they're doing this in their business and I've got to do it too. Or not trusting the experience that the business owner has, not trusting that they know what's best for their business. And so talking to too many people can be very confusing, derail very easily, and not having a clear vision can have some significant financial impact. If you hear something that you think may apply and you put a technology solution in, only to find that it wasn't the right one and you didn't need it, you needed something else, there's a cost that goes along with it. The derailment for employees is confusion. They wonder whether or not they're making the right decision at the right time. And if something goes south, any employee that's got compassion and is engaged and has heart takes that personally as well. They wonder, did I do something to get us here? They may have, but they may not have as well. So in terms of focus and clarity, you know, when you think back, and it's interesting to the whole analogy of Dallas to Miami, if you're always looking at the map and the map is in front of you, eventually you're going to crash. You're not present. You're not paying attention to the things that are coming up and saying to yourself, is this in line with my vision? Will this get me where I need to go? And if the answer is yes, take it with you. If the answer is no, then leave it behind. And so it really gives you that barometer. And what I found is when there's too much confusion or people don't trust their instincts, then that true north goes a little bit chaotic, and it becomes that way in the business as well.
I really resonate with the example you gave of, if does it align with your vision, take it with you. If it doesn't, leave it behind. I feel like that's really one of the true points that we try to bring home when we're sharing our framework with owners about how to build their marketing strategy. It's like, okay, talk about your vision, let's talk about your values, and then let's talk about your goals. And we use that same kind of mentality, Glenna, to say, okay, well, you can't have 10 goals, you can have a few, but the way that you can determine what goals make the most sense is exactly that. Does it serve your vision? Let's go. If it doesn't serve your vision, let's leave it behind. Maybe we can come back to it, because I know that, you know, change is hard and we don't want to leave anything out on the table, but for creating the momentum that we need to get to the vision right now, you've got to leave stuff behind. And that can be really hard. And, you know, it's balancing that emotional aspects. But what I'd love to know is, you mentioned earlier a story about a client that you worked with where the vision really came into play and helped them ultimately break through some barriers, but it sounded like there were some struggles kind of along the way. So can you share a little bit about, in your experience, a situation where connecting with the vision really made that difference?
Absolutely. I was introduced to a company, and this is a restaurant company. They had very great brand, great product, great employees. I mean, huge following. And at that point, there were 5 locations. And they were looking at, how do I open 6? How do I open 7? And so I met with the CEO and I said to him, if you could wave a magic wand in your business, what would it be? And he said to me, I want to be 100 locations. So I said, great. I'm one of the few people that can get you there. I've done that before. So grew Starbucks in my area from 20 to 200 locations. I know what that looks like. But what it means is, we're not going to think about your business as growing from 5 to 6 to 7 to 8. We're going to think about your business as going from 100 backwards. And the processes that you put in place at 100 are very different than the ones that you put in place at 5. So he said, that's an interesting idea. And we decided to engage and go forward. We recreated his organization structure. We recreated the positions, what people do, how we evaluate them, what were the benefit offerings, how do you do HR systems in the future, what do you need to get you there? We recreated all of the policies, the procedures, and along the way, you're absolutely right, Randy, there were situations that were challenging. There were definitely people that he had in the business that he realized were not going to get me not only to 100, probably were not going to get me to 6, 7, and 8. And so he had to make some tough decisions. What's been the most gratifying is he gave me an amazing testimonial, but he said, boy, you were hard. But whenever I had a tough decision to make, what went through my mind is, if I was the CEO of 100, how would I answer this question? And he said, like that, I could make the right decision for the business. And so it was just so extraordinary. He's now up to 8 locations. So not yet at 100, but he's moving in that direction. And I really think that that forward thinking not only allowed him to plan, but allowed his team to plan as well and to really be excited about the future.
That is so exciting to see something that really is so big, but it's simplified down to one question. How would you move forward if you were the CEO of the 100 stop organization? I think that had to feel pretty exciting when you saw that testimonial come across.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was very proud of it. And he calls me, all the time just to report on the business and ask questions. And we have a wonderful, great coaching dialogue that goes back and forth. So it's a great relationship.
That is so awesome. I really love that story and the idea of, again, do today what you will be doing when you reach your goals.
Right.
Don't wait and then suddenly shift and become a different person or a different organization at that time. I just absolutely love that. I know, Glenna, we could talk all day with you. You have so many great insights and so many great stories. So for people who are interested, who want to learn more, maybe they need someone like you to help guide their organization, help get their people aligned. Where can folks connect with you to learn more?
Excellent question. Thank you for asking. My email is glenna@glennahecht.com. Very easy. My information is under that name or Humanistic Consulting. And my mobile number, I will share it, and I'm assuming it will also be on the screen at some point, is 469-766-6110. I always have conversations with people because this is a relationship business, and I want to ensure that I can help you meet your goals and that I can help you create a great team. So feel free to give me a call. I look forward to it.
Thank you so much, Glenna. It was wonderful having you on today.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Glenna.
Thank you.